Hello, friends. We are looking at 2-4, equations of lines. This is going to be the main form that we start writing our equations in, slope-intercept form, going back to the chart that I walked you through in the previous video where you can find M one of 4 different ways, and then you can find B by plugging in the values that you know. When you're asked in standard form, that's going to be less common. You can go from one form to the other using algebra, and then we'll kind of tackle that as we get to it. So the majority of your work is going to be over here though. Keeping in mind that slope in general is going to be a rate of change and B is going to be like an initial or a start value. So when you're reading a problem, it says you have $50 to spend on downloading songs from your digital music player. New release songs cost $1.25 per song and all others cost 99 cents per song. Write an equation that models the possible number of songs that you could download. Now, in this case, you're going to be looking at two completely different things. And so you're going to need two completely different variables. So if we let X equal the number of new release, and Y would equal, it says all others. So that would, I guess, be our others. Then we're going to have to set up and say, okay, well, it is $1.25 per new release plus 99 cents per other song, and that's going to add up to $50. So it says to write an equation that models the possible number of songs that you could download, and then X and Y is going to each represent the total. So later on in chapter 3, we're going to deal with how to solve equations that have two variables like that. But for right now, we're just trying to represent situations. Here in 1992 to 93 school year, 2 million females participated in U.S. high school sports. By 2002-3, the number had increased to 2.86 million. That is a 0.086 million increase in participants per year. So this is a rate of change right here. So that's going to be our slope. And it's per year based on that starting year of 1992-93 school year. So this is going to be our start value of B. So when I write a linear equation that models female sports participation in the U.S., I'm going to start with Y equals my rate of change, which is 0.086, X plus my initial value. Then I'm going to be able to identify what the X and Y stand for. So if X is going to equal years since the beginning, which is 1992, and then Y is going to equal the number, and keep in mind that that was 2 million, not 2. And so you would want to write, in millions, because that makes a big difference. Winning $2 versus winning $2 million matters. So that's going to be the number in millions of females in U.S. sports. So in U.S. high school sports. So that's just kind of talking you through like how to think about things that have a rate of change and an initial value and how you can represent them as linear equations. This is the nuts and bolts of going back to what we did yesterday or whenever you watch the chart video. It's telling me that it's going to pass through 5, 4. So that's my X and my Y situation. And then it has a slope of -3. So in this case, the slope was given. And that was one of the 4 ways we can find slope. So I always start with my Y equals mx plus b format. And then I put in the things that I know. So I know that Y is 4 when M is -3 and when X is 5. And I'm going to use that situation that I know to kind of solve backwards to find my, that's a plus sign, find my B value. And so in this particular problem, I'm going to go ahead and add my 15 over. So I find out that B is 19. Already knew that slope is -3. So in the end, Y equals my slope value times X plus my B value. And I always find that B value by using one of the points that I know the line goes through and then the slope that I found. In this case, they just gave it to me. So I'm supposed to rewrite that in standard form. Well, keeping in mind that standard form has the X term, then the Y term equals the constant. That means this needs to move over. Since it's a -3x, I would just add it to the other side. So by adding it to the other side, if I start with Y equals -3x plus 19, I'd move that over to become a +3x. plus the y that was already there, leaving me with the constant of 19 on the right. And that's the exact same line, it's just written in the two different forms, so you want to be familiar with each. It's hard to find the equation of the line straight up in standard form, so you usually have to start somewhere else and then move towards that. Okay, so here again, I have my x and the y that I'll use later on. Parallel to is telling me that I need to find something that has the same slope as this. So this is an eyeball activity. M is going to be the value in front of x, so I already know that that's going to be my slope value. And then I'm going to go back up here and do the same kind of math using my y of 3 equals m of -4 times x of -2 plus b. So now I'm just going to do the algebra related to that, and I'm going to find out that b equals -5 when it's all said and done. Alrighty. So then my equation is just going to be y equals -4x, because I'm using my slope, minus 5, because that's my b value. So awesome. Perpendicular. All right, that is code language for using the opposite reciprocal. So again, I look here and I say, okay, that is -4. And so if that's given to me, the opposite reciprocal of -4 means I'm going to use positive 1/4 because I need to reciprocate it and change the sign. So this is still utilizing the same point from up there where it's -2, 3. So if I'm going to fill in my y equals mx plus b, using the pieces of information I do have, I'll have 3 equals -1/2 plus b. So b will turn out to be 3.5, which I'm going to write as a fraction. We kind of leave it as improper fraction. So sort of ran out of room, but I'm going to end up with y equals 1/4 x plus 7/2. Sure wish I remembered how I got this lovely little box up here. I know that's a feature in Notability. I'll have to watch the video again. I'm going to erase a little bit of this so that you can see what I'm doing. All right then, so here I'm writing an equation again, but I'm given 2 points, so I don't know the slope. So keep in mind that another way we can find the slope off of our list for the chart is to use the slope formula. So in this case, that'll look like 10 minus -2 over 2 minus 5. So I'll end up with 12 over -3. So my slope value is going to be a -4. Now I can use either one of these points, and just because I want to up my chances of doing it correctly, I'm going to use the one that doesn't have any negatives. So I'm going to be using that as 2 as my x and 10 as my y, and then a slope of -4. So when I set up y equals m x plus b, that is where I'm going to be at. Adding the 8, I get an 18 for my b value. So taking these two pieces, y will equal mx plus the b value that I got. So easy. Oh my gosh. And that actually is the end of it. So there you go, my friends. So you're going to get your m one of 4 ways. You're going to get your b pretty much the same way every single time. And now you know everything you need to know. So we will be having a test on just 2-1 through 2-4. So make sure you've looked through all the functions and linear functions and graphing and equation stuff. Set yourself up